You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Hey, welcome to another exciting version of our podcast. There's no versions to this podcast. There's only one version, the Chris Voss Show. That's why you should always recommend it to your friends, family, and relatives. The Chris Voss Show, the family that loves you but doesn't judge you. Maybe slightly. I don't know. Depends on if you meet me in person and if you're wearing Crocs or not. Anyway, oh crap, we just lost Crocs, our sponsor there. Never. You know what? They probably would sponsor the show. I don't know. They're always welcome. We're just giving giving jokes to the Crocs people. You guys make fine luxury shoes. Anyway, guys, be sure to go to LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all those crazy places those kids are playing. Refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Tell them to sign up and get on the show. Today we had an amazing author on the show. We only have amazing authors. We put them in the Google machine, amazing authors, and then we invite them on the show, and they come out with their latest, hottest books. They come to us steaming right off the bookshelves, but only wherever fine books are sold. I'm not sure why you would be in a bookstore where the books are steaming. That might be bad. Check your fire alarms. Anyway, guys, he is the author of the newest book that just came out September 20th, 2022, WARHOLCAPOTE, that's one word, a non-fiction invention. WARHOLCAPOTE. Let me get that right, because I don't want people Googling. I don't want people Googling WARHOLCAPOTE, that's one word, as the book title. So WARHOLCAPOTE, a non-fiction invention by Roth. And he's on the show. As you've heard, he just intervened there in the background to correct me on the correct title of his book. So there you go. I want to make people sure when they Google, they Google correctly. Roth was nominated for a Tony Award as Best Director for his Broadway debut, Beauty and the Beast. I think that was a story about me, wasn't it? No, I'm just kidding. It's not. Which became one of the top 10 longest running musicals in Broadway history. The show has been seen by over 40 million people around the world, winning the Olivier Award. Is that Olivier Award? For Best Olivier Award. Clearly, I skipped drama class in high school. For the best musical in London. Rob went on to direct the world premiere of Elaborate Lives, The Legend of Ada, collaborating with Sir Elton John, he's amazing, and Sir Tim Rice. Rob directed the Broadway musical Lestat, based on the Anne Rice Vampire Chronicles, with a score by Elton John and Bernie Taupin. Wow, just a great collaboration there, especially, writing Bernie Taupin. Rob frequently directs rock concerts, collaborating with legendary artists including Kiss, Alice Cooper, Dresden Dolls, Cyndi Lauper, and guitar legend Steve Miller. I want to fly like an eagle. Rob is an avid collector of rock and roll graphics, and his collection is showcased in the coffee table book, The Art of Classic Rock. Rob and his husband Patrick live in New York City with their Labrador Retriever Tag. Welcome to the show, Rob. How are you?
I'm great, Chris. How are you? I like the introduction to your show. It's a little bit of Kiss in there.
Yeah, you got it. Oh, I love you, man. You got it. A lot of people don't get that correlation there. You wanted the best. You got the best. Kiss.
Well, us members of the Kiss Army will definitely know.
There you go. I grew up with Kiss. We, in fact, fun fact, when we were kids, my nephew or my best friend, his parents were electricians. So we got a Ouija board because those were the days of the 80s, and Ozzy Osbourne and, Dio and stuff. So we got a Ouija board and we were playing with Ouija board, and then we gave it to his younger brothers and stuff. Well, he, being an electrician, he hooked up lights into the solo Kiss albums. And jammed the lights to their eyes. And then when they started using the Ouija board, we cut the power and then and then use a dimmer switch to light up the eyes, and you could just hear screaming in the basement. It was pretty fun. Things you do when you're that could be a next sort of play for you on the Broadway there.
Never know.
But you work with some great people and talented people. Give us your plugs, your .com, so people can find you on the interwebs.
No, there's no internet presence for me.
Wow.
Nope. I'm too busy listening to music and listening to my records and collecting my posters, and I don't have time to do that. So nope.
There you go.
This is as most internet as I'm going to get, Chris.
Well, you can go to Amazon or wherever fine books are sold to pick up the book.
Sure, Amazon.com.
There you go.
We're the #1 book today in plays.
There you
go. Happy to say. Very
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So what motivated you to write this book?
It's a little bit of a long story, but I'm going to tell it to you in brief version. Rosie O'Donnell is a friend of my husband's and mine, and in 2007, she invited us to go on they call them family cruises. So it was gay parents and their children would go on a cruise for a week. And when she asked me, I thought, I don't like children and I don't want to be on a boat. So I just said no. And when I told Patrick, Ro asked us to go on this cruise, but I said no. He said, hey, maybe you should have asked me before you declined. He was studying to be a psychologist. He is now a doctor, but he was studying then. And he said, I could really use a week on the boat. I could really study for my New York State medical boards. So I called Ro back and I said, we're going to go. And she said, great. And I thought, what am I going to do on a boat for a week? Like, it just didn't have any appeal to me at all. And so I bought myself a copy of the Andy Warhol Diaries by Pat Hackett, which came out in 1989, and I have read it 20 times. But so I bought a brand new copy, brought it to the boat, and one night while we were in our cabin, I was on the balcony, I read an entry, and it said, went to Truman's apartment, got 6 good tapes for the play. And I had read the diaries before. This had never landed on me, But now I'm like, wait a minute, play, tapes, what? And that started this whole big search for me for did Andy and Truman actually make recordings together for a play? So I went to the Warhol Foundation in New York City, and I spoke to Vincent Fremont, who was a friend of mine and was Andy's right-hand man all through the 70s and right up till his death. And I said, Vincent, do you remember anything about this? Andy talking about a play? And he went, yes, I remember them talking about it, but they talked about a lot of things and they were kind of drunk and who knows if they ever did anything. And anyway, all of Andy's tapes that he recorded are at the Warhol Museum. He put me in touch with someone there. And the archivist at the Warhol Museum said, yeah, we have 3,000.
Holy crap.
Yeah, holy crap. Audio cassettes that are under embargo. We're not allowed to even look at them until 2037.
Why?
And he said, I can't tell you why. You have to go back to the board of directors of the Warhol Foundation. So I went to the head of the board. His name's Joel Walks. He's still the head of the board. And Joel told me that when Andy died in 1987, they found all these 3,000 or more cassettes. And Andy recorded surreptitiously. So he had a recorder in his pocket. He called his Sony Walkman his wife.
Wow.
So the wife is with me. And he had it going for 10 years. He recorded everything. And in the 70s in New York State, that was illegal.
Oh, okay.
Right, one-way recording. So the lawyers for the Warhol Foundation decided just to embargo the tapes until 50 years after Andy's death and let lawyers in 2037 deal with it. So my adventure was kind of finished before it started. And I was moping around the house.
Wow.
And I realized, oh, wait a minute. Truman knew he was being recorded because they said they were working on a play. Yeah. So I called the Warhol Foundation back. I said, Joel, I don't mean to be a bother, but Truman knew he was being recorded. That means both of them knew. Does that change anything? And he said, I don't know, but let me go back to the board and talk to the lawyers. And unbelievable, my luck, the photographer Cindy Sherman and the filmmaker John Waters, Pink Flamingos fame, Hairspray, they were on the Warhol board, and they were very adamant that I be allowed to pursue this. They thought, hey, Rob is onto a piece of art that Andy was working on. We should help him try to find the tapes. So I was given permission to hire someone to search through all 3,000 cassettes, just look at them, couldn't play them. And they found 59 90-minute cassettes that said Truman in Andy's handwriting.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I got permission to digitize those tapes, court reporter transcribed those tapes, and I ended up with 80 hours of tape and 8,000 pages of transcripts.
Holy crap.
Yeah. And then when I started listening to the tapes and I was reading along, the first 5 that I listened to were just them at a party. Like, you could barely understand anything on the tape. Sometimes you hear like Truman say something to Andy or Andy say something to Truman, but they were just at a party. But Andy recorded it, put Truman on the thing. Then I got to maybe the 10th tape, which was them. I think it's Studio 54 because you could hear the beat thing. And Andy says, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, Truman, we should work together. And Truman says, oh, that would be interesting. What should we do? And Andy says, we should write a Broadway play. So then like my hair was standing up on my arms, and they talk about what it should be about. And eventually Andy says, Truman, can't I just tape you? And can't the edited tapes be the play? And Truman said, that's exactly what we should do, because the play will be both real and imagined. Oh. And if you look at the work of Andy Warhol and Truman Capote, their work is real and imagined. Andy took a real picture of Marilyn Monroe and filtered it through his imagination, and it came out the Marylands. Mm-hmm. Truman Capote took the real murder of a family, the Color family in Kansas, and filtered it through his imagination, and it came out in cold blood. Mm-hmm. I took their actual words, every single word in the play they spoke, just not in the order that I've put it in. So I made up conversations that never actually happened. Oh. But every word of it, they said. So that's why I call it a non-fiction invention.
So, so it's called the Non-Fiction Invention. That was one of the questions I had for you as to why you chose that title. And so basically you've taken their words and almost like an editor turned it into a play. Yes. Is that correct? Wow. That's pretty exciting.
Thank you. It was really, they gave me the instructions on the tape and I put that into the play. So the play starts with them talking about, hey, we should work on a play and what we should do. So yeah, it's really kind of meta and kind of cool. And I feel like I did complete a work of art that they began together. And so I'm proud of that and excited that the world gets to hear them in their own words.
Isn't it interesting how in life, if you listen carefully, you discover these things? I mean, you really tripped over something, and just serendipitously almost, you found a way into that, and it's just amazing how that developed. It's wild that the tapes are locked out. I mean, it sounds like the JFK. Remember how JFK was like, locked out for 50 years or something? Yeah. No one could talk about it. It's like, what's going on there? It's too bad more of that can't come to light.
I'm really hoping that as the play goes out into the world now, because it just got released this week, that someone will digitize the rest of the tapes. Even if we can't listen to them right now, they need to be preserved. That's something that the Warhol Museum and the Warhol Foundation are wanting to do, and I hope that I can help them somehow find the money to at least preserve them, if not listen to them now. Yeah, because can you imagine what's on those tapes? Holy cow. Andy Warhol in the 70s in New York, wow.
In Studio 54, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and Hollywood, and, it's going to be just amazing.
Yeah, there's probably all sorts of people on there.
Oh, that's the whole problem. All sorts of people doing all sorts of 70s fun things.
Well, I mean, they weren't doing anything bad in the 70s in Studio 54 that was illegal.
No, of course not. No.
But it was some drugs or something, some
Yeah, I think there was a
Rolling
fair amount of
Stones
that.
there. I don't know.
Yeah.
There was some fun going on in the 70s, I hear.
Yep.
So there you go. But no, this is really interesting. So it's turned into a play now. You're releasing it as a play?
We performed the play at American Repertory Theater up in Cambridge at Harvard.
Mhm.
And now I hope that it will have productions all over the world, I hope.
Nice.
It's a nice, simple 2-person play. And, they are, of course, 2 of the great geniuses of the 20th century. And so to hear them talking as the friends they were, they became at some points very unguarded. I think they forgot the tape recorder was there, honestly. And so they get to talking about, they talk about Liza and cocaine and all the things that you think they're going to talk about.
Cocaine in the 70s,
yeah.
you say? No way.
But they also talk about, the pain of being an artist and what is the cost of making art and why do you make art?
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were both, even though they were super famous and very wealthy people, they were not happy people. And I think that they thought that if they worked really hard and put out a lot of art, that it would make them happy and maybe make them less odd. But fame didn't make them less odd. I think it made them more alone and more odd. Do you find that, Chris? Because you're famous.
Well, kind of. I found the more successful I got, the more problems it actually created, and the more money you make, the more you, the more it amplifies your whatever your problems are that you got from childhood and stuff. It's just and even worse, it can what's the right words I'm looking for? It can codify your worst instincts to go. Well, I'm clearly have money, so I can't be wrong and a horrible person, and then you run with it. So you'll learn things when you're young, but I mean, part of being an artist is the suffrage. I'm trying to think of a quote that someone said about being an artistry and examining yourself navel and the misery of it. I mean, who is it that cut off their ear? I'm
Vincent Van Gogh.
Yeah. I mean, it's the suffrage of it. It's the human experience, I suppose, in lots of ways.
I think that a certain amount of suffering does create art. I'm happy that I didn't. They were geniuses and suffered a lot. I'm happy just to be mildly talented and only mildly suffering.
Well, I hope it. Just remember, it gets better. That's what I always tell people. So this is really great. I mean, you poured through 80 hours of tapes or more. Yes. What is that like trying to compress that? How long is the play?
It's about 90 minutes, 85 minutes.
And so what's it like to try and compress that all and edit that all down? That's a hell of an editing job there.
Yeah. It was because I didn't have a deadline, right? Mm-hmm. This is my own project, my own idea. I didn't even know when I got the tapes if I was going to be able to make a play. Mm-hmm. So I decided to just enjoy it. Like, I'm the only person in the world that's heard these tapes.
Yeah.
Both the foundations were very, very serious. Like, hey, you cannot play these for anybody. There's a lot of other people.
Did you have to hire a special master?
A special master to guard me?
No, a special master is it's a legal term we've all learned recently by a certain president, where they have to hire a special FBI person or judge in between that listens to the tapes. And
no, I didn't. I got direct access to listen to them myself. I guess I was the master.
You were the special master. There you go.
So it was really cool. I'm lucky enough to have a beach house out on Long Island. And I went out there and I had my headphones on and the transcripts, and I just listened and kind of circled things that I thought were interesting. And what was interesting to me was personal things. And and funny, and they were really funny too. And so I did that. That took about almost a year. And then I went back and listened to it again a second time and really highlighting sections, and I ended up pulling out of the tapes 222 sections. And I named them, Studio 54, Liza, art, cocaine, sex, whatever.
All the good things.
All the good things. I gave everything a very short title and put them on index cards. So I had 222 index cards. And I started shuffling the cards like, okay, this seems like the beginning of a scene. This seems like, the end of a scene. This seems like the end of the play. And I knew that I wanted to move from lighter friendship kind of conversation to more personal and
I think you locked up on your end, Rob. If you can hear me. Hey, Rob. Well, we lost Rob for a few seconds here. This is the technology, the interwebs. So we'll, I'm sure, have him back here in a second. As soon as the interwebs gods in the sky work with us to get him back on with us. Let me see if we can't try and get him on. Well, we're going to leave a little bit of dead air so I can find this in the edit for the final feature. There we go. It looks like he's aware of that. And we should have him back here in a few minutes. Gotta love the internet. The internet gods. Sometimes the internet gods are good to us. Sometimes the internet gods are not. Anytime we have an interesting conversation, the internet gods give out. The internet gods giveth, and the internet gods taketh away. The new podcast by Chris Voss coming out next week. All that good stuff. So there is that. Awesome sauce and fun. So we'll see if we can get Rob back here. See if we can get him back. Computer's probably locked up or something of that nature. All that fun stuff. And this is okay. There he is.
Wow.
Got you back, Rob. How you doing?
I'm good. I have no idea what happened or where I was in the story when I lost.
You were starting to tell us about you've gone through the tapes, and you'd archive, you put certain titles on each of the tapes and
on each card.
They
moved
into
cards.
They talked about the cards, and you moved into they moved into just general talking to kind of private conversations. I think we're about there.
Okay. So I arranged the cards into an order that I liked, and then I ended up going back to the transcripts and pulling out those sections and making a draft of the play. I think I did that probably 20 times before I felt like I was ready to have a reading with two actors. And when you hear actors read it, you learn a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Actors bring their humanity to it, and they would say, this feels part of the conversation. It feels like we're jumping. And so I go back and find a linking piece of conversation. And so I did that a lot until I wound up with what we have now and is in the book, which is an 85-minute version of this play. And again, every single word they spoke.
That is awesome. What actors did you go with, and why'd you choose them?
We went with Stephen Spinella, who won the 2 Tony Awards on Broadway for his role in Angels in America, and Dan Butler, who most
Hey, Rob.
Wow, my internet says I'm getting full speed here, so
It could be the computer lagging out or something. So you said Dan Butler?
Yeah, people know him from Frasier.
Ah.
He was the kind of obnoxious white sportscaster guy.
There you go.
And he was Andy, and Stephen Smith was, and they were wonderful, really, really great. And they brought a lot to the play. They really helped me sharp. So they were. Hi, I'm back. Well, this has never happened, Chris.
Yeah, it's sometimes it happens. Sometimes if a computer has been restarted for a while, the memory will lag up on it. Sometimes if you're on Wi-Fi, it will take and do that. Maybe sometimes there could be other people on the thing. So let's see. So this is going to be pretty interesting. Do you see the play moving to Broadway?
I hope that it goes to Broadway or the West End or both. I'm at the stage right now where I'm putting the play out in the world this week, and I'm letting it go. Mm-hmm. And then what's going to happen is going to happen, I think. Right?
Well, I think
you have to trust.
Sometimes you got to let the universe decide. But I mean, you've had great successful plays in the past, so I'm sure this one is going to be amazing. And of course, it has these brand names that everyone knows about and are amazing artists.
Wow, they are brand names.
And you have something that is so unique. I mean, you're gonna probably, I don't know if you're going to pass away in the next 50 or when does the tapes expire? 37.
2037.
2037. It would really. I'm with you. It would really be interesting if they could release those sooner. So what is that like? What is it? 35 or 15 years from now? Well, so we only have 15 years to wait.
Yep.
You're going to be able to walk around for the next 15 years going, I'm the only guy who's ever heard the private conversation. That's a hell of a badge of honor.
Thank you. I feel very, very fortunate and very privileged. I had a big responsibility too.
Yeah.
Both the states trusted me that I was going to not manipulate their words into something that they weren't saying. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like I was careful to be true to the spirit of their conversations. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I did, I think, was make their conversations clearer. Truman was drinking and doing a lot of drugs in 1978.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I've seen those videos of them at the what was the warehouse they had where they would his warehouse where they would party and
the factory.
Yeah, the factory. That was it.
Yeah, I don't think that Andy was a big drug user, but he certainly was a drinker and not shy about it. And so their conversations, if two drunk people get together, the conversation can kind of loop around and come back again, and and so I cleared it up.
There you go.
So I think I made them a little bit clearer.
Maybe you should have called it WARHOLCAPOTE, a non-fiction sober invention.
Yeah, they were definitely not sober. And part of the story of the play, I think, is that at one point Truman goes to rehab. And he says, Andy, will you call me up? And Andy says, of course I will. And he says, no, really, will you call me? And they get kind of serious. And Andy says, well, sure, of course I will, Truman. And Truman says, I wondered. Right? So it's so sad because they're friends, but still Truman is unsure.
Wow.
Andy did try to call him up and couldn't get through. You're not allowed to talk to people in rehab.
Oh, wow.
Or at the time you weren't.
Especially your partying friends.
Yeah, for sure. Right. I would think that they discouraged that.
That's funny as hell. No, I just mean the sober invention because you edited it down. But
I made them clearer. I don't think I made them sober.
Well, this is pretty amazing. The book is going to be amazing. Hopefully, it will go on to win some of the awards and accolades that you've done there. I love what you did with Kiss and Elton John. I've seen both of them in private concerts with JBL and Harman Kardon. They do an annual private concert where it's just 1,000 of their favorite people, and I've seen both of them very intimately, and just extraordinary musicians. And of course, I grew up with listening to both of them endlessly.
Yeah, well, me too. So like for me, as an artist, it's kind of crazy. I've been working with Alice Cooper, Elton, Steve Miller. These people, Kiss, their posters were on my bedroom wall.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? So that feels really, really amazing. And then, you know, I've been Andy and Truman nut since I was a kid too, like just obsessed with them. And so to get to have my name on a play with them is really kind of pinch yourself time.
Oh, yeah.
And it really is. And everybody go see the Kiss farewell tour, End of the Road. It's awesome. We blow up a lot of stuff.
It's so funny because I have like Kiss tour books and tickets and shirts from the Kiss farewell tour. I think how old am I? In the 2000s?
Yeah.
When they put the makeup back on, they started redoing the makeup. So however long that is, it's probably a long time ago. Shameful.
It was in 97, I think.
Was it 97? Oh my God. I was trying to fudge there in the 2000s. But yeah, I mean, I grew up when all that stuff was big on the radio, even the tail end of Cyndi Lauper, Steve Miller, Fly Like an Eagle. I remember when that was played ad nauseum on FM radio.
You know, it still is.
Yeah, and it should be.
It's the greatest music ever.
It's so funny how all of today's music samples that era of music. And, you know, Kiss. I remember, you know, I spent my teenage years in Utah, and so, you know, Kiss was the Knights of Satan's Service or something.
Yeah, all
that.
All those
People
lies.
like, you're part of the devil, and you know, Alice Cooper, of course. I first saw Alice Cooper on School's Out for Summer with the Muppets.
Yeah,
fantastic. The Muppets.
Yeah,
I was like, cool. The Muppets are satanic.
When I first met Alice, his manager Shep Gordon flew me over to London to have dinner with him to talk about directing a tour, and Alice and I went shopping because he likes to shop. Yeah, so we went to Camden Town Market, which is North London, and we found a video booth that was selling bootleg videotapes of concerts, and we found the $1 Billion Babies tour video.
Really?
Yeah. So I was like, oh my God, you know, my parents wouldn't let me go. I was too young, you know? And so we bought it, or actually the guy gave it to us because they recognized it was Alice. And we're going back to the hotel, and Alice said, do you know, I've never seen it. I've never seen I've seen pictures of myself, but I've never actually seen the film of the $1 Billion Babies tour. Do you want to watch it? So I'm like, yes, please. You know?
Alice Cooper. Oh my God,
yeah. So we go back to his room and we sit down, we pop the tape in, and the concert starts with a song called Hello Hooray. And he comes out in a leotard, and it's like all blood stained in the crotch area. And he's holding a bottle of Jack Daniels, and he kind of lurches to the front of the stage. And he said, oh wow, this is degenerate. I'm like, yeah, yes. And he said,
that's hilarious.
He said, I would never let my kids see this. Your parents were absolutely right not to, you know. And we were laughing, and we watched a little bit more of it. And then honestly, he was a little disturbed by it. He's like, serious? Wow, this is really, I mean, he said, I wasn't that drunk. I was acting drunk, you know. Yeah. He said I was a little drunk, but I wasn't that drunk. But and so then we were laughing about how my parents wouldn't let me go, and you know, and so he said, let's call your parents. So I called my parents, they knew that I was in London meeting Alice, you know. Yeah. And he got on the phone. He said, it's Alice. I have Rob now. You know? Which was just awesome. He's so funny. He's the greatest guy, and has become a really dear friend.
Yeah, he seems like a really nice guy.
Oh, he is the nicest man. He has the nicest family. Married to the same woman.
Forever.
For a long, long time. Cheryl. Yeah. And great children, not spoiled, not, you know, really cool. And he's a great artist too. You know, still touring. And yeah, he's really awesome. So yeah, I feel super fortunate to have worked with Andy and Truman. Even though they're dead, I did collaborate with them on this very personal piece of art, which is, you know, amazing.
Yeah, my parents were Mormons, So I wasn't allowed to listen to, satanic rock and roll. So I
Right,
had
sure.
to have tapes, and I would hide them in a vent system so that I could have my AC/DC tapes and my Kiss tapes and everything.
Yeah.
And
Doesn't that make it better?
kinda, I think so. I don't
Like
know.
this forbidden fruit thing.
Yeah, I remember my scoutmaster used to loan me the records for Alice Cooper, and he had a whole collection and a lot of other records and stuff. And so I would take and play them when my parents were gone. And then I remember one time I bought a Motley Crue record, brought it home. It was Shout at the Devil.
Yeah.
And my mom discovered it and made me take it back to the store and trade it in.
Oh,
And
I'm sorry.
I went back a week later, rebought the album, and got my neighbor to tape it for me. These are the days. Kids today, they don't understand the suffrage.
Yeah.
They just go on their dirty little iPods and.
Yep, different now. Having albums. I think you mentioned this in the introduction to me. I have the biggest private collection of classic rock graphics in the world. I have probably 10,000 pieces. Yeah.
Holy crap, dude.
I've been collecting since I was a kid. And then as an adult, it just got crazier and crazier. Now, today I just got from the Netherlands, Alice Cooper Muscle of Love promo poster, Netherlands only.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, I've never even seen it. I doubt that Alice has seen it. So that's all kind of exciting, and I'm such a big geek. Like, I'm sitting at my desk here, and I'm gonna hold it up.
Awesome
Rolling
stuff.
Stones, 1981 laminate backstage pass.
Holy crap,
awesome.
dude!
Crazy, yeah. And then I want to show you one more thing. When I was a kid, I was part of the Journey crew.
Are you really serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was 17 years old, and I wanted to interview Steve Perry. Do you know who Steve Perry is?
Yeah.
Singer, the greatest singer in the world.
Yeah.
I wanted to interview him for my high school newspaper, and Columbia Records laughed at me. They were like, they're not going to talk to you. Sorry,
really?
You're in high school. And I said, hey, everybody at the concert last night was in high school. What do you mean they're not going to talk to me? I'm the reason there is Journey.
Yeah.
And she laughed, and she said, I'm going to call their manager. He's going to say no, but I'm going to make the call for you. And instead, the manager, Herbie Herbert, a very, very famous rock manager, said, absolutely have him come to the concert on Friday. I'm going to be there. I want to meet this kid too. And so I met Steve Perry, and I did a short little interview with him. And then I met Herbie. And, I was in theater, and I wanted to know about how they move the rock tour from city to city. And he said, if you really want to know, here's my card. Call the office, and you have to come to a load-in at 6 o'clock in the morning and see how we put it all together. That was on a Friday night. On Monday, my parents let me cut school, take the car, and drive to Maryland and go to a load-in. And I got a laminate, and I was on the Journey tour whenever I wanted from then on.
Oh my God, dude. I'm so jealous.
Yeah, it was cool. And, by 1981, they had the Escape album, which had 5 #1 songs.
Oh, yeah.
And I was there, watched it explode.
That is awesome, man.
It was cool. I learned a lot.
That was so great.
Herbie died this year.
You and I both grew up in that era where that was every 5th song on the on the radio, between Steely Dan and Journey. And Journey was my favorite band. Then I kind of moved to Rush, but Journey, it's always been Journey and Rush, those two, and now there's a little bit of Metallica in there. But Steve Perry, I was so I have a lot of issues with him leaving the band, and there's a whole thing there. But yeah, it's just an amazing singer. I mean, I can't even listen to the new Journey. I just can't. I can tell.
I really don't either.
I can tell the difference. I mean, you just can't replicate Steve Perry or any great.
No, you can't. Do you know what the difference is, in my opinion? Heartbreak.
Yeah.
Steve Perry, for whatever personal issues he had or has, there is heartbreak in his voice that when he sings, it connects to people in a way that I think Judy Garland had it too. Like, there's some kind of singers, and they have something in their makeup. And we were talking about Andy and Truman. They were very heartbroken people too.
Yeah.
There's something, and though it's very hard on the artist, it can make for great art. When I first saw Steve Perry, A friend brought me to a Journey concert in 1980, Departure Tour. I had heard Any Way You Want It, maybe on the radio. That's it. Seeing him sing live was, oh my God, it was like seeing, I don't know, the eighth wonder of the world. It was like something incredible. And I think I've been to 100 Steve Perry Journey shows probably, and he sang great every single time. And I would venture to guess part of the reason why he stopped is it hurts to sing with that much heartbreak.
Oh yeah, and he's got quite a range too.
Yeah, amazing range.
Yeah, I was heartbroken. I've tried. I loved his solo work, a little bit of solo work.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, the recent album I wasn't a big fan of.
No, his voice sounds good though. I didn't love the songs weren't as good as the Journey songs.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. The heartbreak wasn't there. The real heart isn't in it. I don't know.
Amazing artist. Steve Perry, if you're hearing this, please come sing live. Sing anything. Sing Gershwin songs.
That's kind of what I missed about Steve, and kind of why I was irked a little bit is because he just disappeared. And I loved his solo work. In fact, I have a lot of private sing. It's funny. As we've gotten old, we've all done this thing where we collect all of our stuff. Like I have a huge Rush. I think some Journey collections and albums and stuff that just. Oh yeah,
I've gone to an extreme.
It sounds like you have, man. As we go out, how was it? What was it like working with Sir Elton John and Bernie Taupin? Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah, Elton and Bernie were wonderful. We adapted the Anne Rice musical, Anne Rice book, The Vampire Lestat. The production itself on Broadway was halfway successful to me. We didn't totally nail it. Elton and Bernie nailed it, though. The songs are, wow, gorgeous. They're just lovely and talented. And my mom and dad scalped tickets for me to go see Elton John when I was 11 at Madison Square Garden in New York in 1976. And I got to lean on the stage, in the front there. And then to be working with him, pretty crazy and unbelievable. And he's been a dear friend and a real friend.
I remember. Elton John was just always on the radio when I was growing up, and of course, there may be some Elton John in some of those Andy Warhol tapes. Maybe
they talk about Elton John in the play.
Yeah, I think he was at Studio 54 too. Where everyone
he was, yeah. Angie says, "I went to Madison Square Garden to see Elton John, and my God, is he fat?"
What the hell? That isn't right.
So I did. He said he was wearing a silver skin-tight caftan, and he was fat, but the audience loved him.
Yeah, there's something about singers that can sing with that level of heartbreak and just convey the message well. One of my favorite. I grew up in the age of course, where John Lennon was assassinated, and "Empty Garden" is one song that will always come back to me about Elton John because it was such a beautiful dedication to John Lennon and
beautiful lyric from Bernie and beautiful performance from Elton. Yeah, really.
Yeah,
incredible. Yeah, amazing.
And just to touch on, you mentioned Judy Garland. Judy Garland took that song "Somewhere Over the Rainbow," and I remember seeing her on Carson talking about it. And back then, they had to pay her because she was in so much debt to the IRS. But she talked about it, and I can't remember if she'd gotten over alcoholism at the time or not. But you could just feel the pain as to how much had gone into that song and how much it had really encompassed her whole life. That almost might be a play in and of itself. But her life and that she talked about the connection to that song, and it may have been like some other interviews I saw, but it was really interesting to see how much of that really went into her performance of that song, the pain and agony of a lifetime of almost being yoked by that song from the movie.
Yeah, you wonder how, as a 13-year-old girl, she connected with that much longing and dreaming of getting out of herself. Hearing her sing it as an adult is different than when you hear the movie version of Over the Rainbow. Still, she has heartbreak in the voice. Yep. Interesting thing.
Well, it's wonderful you bring these wonderful things to light so that you can inspire others and everything. I guess go buy the book on Amazon. Is the .com we want to promote?
Yep. Amazon.com, Warhol Capote, one word.
There you go. Thanks, Rob, for coming on the show.
Chris, this was so fun.
That's what we tried.
Very, very smart and very, very entertaining.
Well, we grew up in the great age together. If I'm ever in your neck of the woods, I might look you up and say, "Hey, can I come look at your rock and roll library?"
Oh my God, it's insane. It's so insane that Jimmy Page came over to look at it.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I have that much Led Zeppelin stuff.
Damn. Yeah, that's a whole nother. We could be here for hours talking about that.
I know it.
Anyway, Rob, thank you very much. Everyone, go check out the play, order the book wherever fine books are sold. But stay out of those alleyway bookstores. You might need I got mugged in one last week, and I had to get a tetanus shot. Go wherever fine books are sold. Warhol Capote, a non-fiction invention by Rob Ross. Thanks for tuning in to my audience. We certainly appreciate you guys being here. Go to youtube.com/Chris Voss. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss. Go to all of our groups on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and all those crazy places the kids are playing these days. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe.